Good morning and welcome to Judging by the Cover, where we are going to review games that we have not played, and we are reviewing them based on the store page. This time we're looking at the Nintendo Switch eShop for World of Horror, because it is spooky month, so we must delve into the horror and the tragic and the scary stuff. Now, the first thing that stood out to me was this art style, which in the description they boast this as a throwback to 1-bit art style drawn completely in MS Paint, where, as we can see here, they used what looks like a completely black and white backdrop, maybe some gray thrown in there for a little bit of gradient shading, but it does seem like they're using maybe three, at most four distinct colors on a grayscale here, with black, white, and maybe like shades of gray. If I'm gauging this correctly in my head, they do show us the setting here, right here on the title page, with what looks like a cityscape with a lighthouse in the background and a giant sky vortex that you would expect, like, oh, it looks like a sky laser went off or something, with how the clouds are formed in the sky. So it is very distinct. You can tell what they were crafting here. The art style is already captivating me with its dedication to the simplicity and just relying on the crafting of the pixel art. Like, this is something that somebody could have thrown together with a line tool. But then when we got to the trailer, I did check out the trailer. It is animated. So this is the kind of game that you would have seen on, like, old retro computers with their, like, monochrome screens. Uh but still animated. So maybe not something that necessarily would have been possible on those old computers, not without multiple floppy disks to cover all the animations. Even though, we only see a little bit of the animations, but they still wanted to go ahead and showcase something to throw back to the style, but still keep it kind of modern. So we're going to look into this game today and take a look through the screenshots first. We see a combat screen. They do say that it is a roguelite RPG, roguelite, Lite, um, with turn-based combat. So it looks like they're giving you your item slots. You can use those. It shows your character here with your strength, dexterity, personality, uh, knowledge, charisma, and FND. I'm not sure what that stat is. It looks like most of these stats are kind of pulled from, like, the D&D structure, strength, dexterity. Although personality and charisma are supposed to be the same. I would have thought personality and charisma would be the same thing. Anyways, we do see a gore-covered student. They are definitely leaning into the macabre here, but because of the black and white pixel art, I feel like that allows them to get away with creating a more gory and drastic depiction of the characters, since they're not blatant. I mean, you can tell the character is indeed bloody. This is a gore covered, probably zombie student, some kind of monster ghost thing going on here. You can tell that that's what's going on, but because it's not, blood splatter and organs and everything all over the place, it's it kind of gets away with what could have been censored, and it allows them to really lean into the horror of that. uh time warner steals some of your oh Time warper steals some of your lifespan. You prepare to strike. You bash the time warper, -9 health, and you've defeated. So it does show you at the bottom of the screen, at least with this interface, the sequence of events, and it does seem to give everything a timestamp. So that's kind of telling me that maybe time, like how much time you take to do actions, may also critically affect the game and your experience. With that, we're moving on to another one. We see Death are Deather, or Death and Deather, something going on there. That is an interesting T-shirt design. Back in your home, you think of your next move. You are not currently investigating any weird mystery. Recent newspaper clippings and notes collected in the next room should point you in the right direction. All right, so this is kind of, you have like your little hub space with your room in this. That makes sense. And it looks like, the character is pretty distinct here. There looks like they're giving you a lot of options, like you would expect to see on like a Tamagotchi. You can watch TV, shower, change clothes, check stats, check other things in the menu, save the game. The icons are pretty self-explanatory for what I would expect, or at least I feel like just having been around games for a while, or being able to figure out what these icons mean. One of them, the buildings probably mean go out to the city, things like that, like all sorts of little things that they are using very clear icons to depict what they want the game to portray to you. And it tells us, oh, this is actually taking place in May of 1984. That's kind of interesting. Right up there at the top. Illusion shattered. So we have something here. You stand in the middle of the field. These screenshots are conveying a lot of information that I feel like is important to the gameplay, even without looking at the video trailer. But I highly recommend looking at the trailer. The trailer really helps to kind of give an idea of what kind of horror and atmosphere to expect from the game. The music is great with it. The trailer I enjoyed. I am not even distinctly a fan or an aficionado of horror, but the way that they portrayed this, it's just fascinating from an artistic and inspirational perspective. You stand in the middle of the field. A rip in our reality shows the horrible future of our planet. Seeing the familiar figure looking back at you, you can't help but wonder if it's our world that's just an illusion. So then you either question your sanity or you enter the portal. It's giving you your two options here, and I wonder like how drastic of a thing like that the outcome's going to be there, or what kind of things. Like, is one of those going to be an instant death scenario, or is the game going to give you a lot of options and possible outcomes for both of those choices? That's something that I would prefer both choices to lead to all different kinds of other things. Maybe because this is a game in the modern era, they might actually lean into that direction. But I know way back in the day, one of those choices probably would have been like an instant game over. Fill the combat sequence, white bar. So here's like, it looks like this one's kind of tutorializing it a little bit. Thanks for staying with me. You should stick together this weird mansion. Found a new item with a flashlight. Sustained new injury. Oh, sustained frostbite as an injury. So that's probably like some kind of a debilitating status that might drastically affect you. We do see the character looks like they are donning a mask. That's the same player character we had going on there. So movie poster, figure with some money. This is looks like you're investigating in a mansion. 2B used to be one of the most outstanding classes in school, at least before the teacher's disappearance. Okay, so we have more mystery stuff going on. We have the all of this stuff. You find a shotgun, you find a bottle. You learned spells apparently, which spells are pretty indicative of RPGs. But considering that this game is also kind of centered in what I would have thought would be like a very grounded setting, that maybe spells wouldn't be that huge of a thing. Back to the title screen here. This world of horror, it's just a fascinating graphic style that is actually like very enticing to me to try out. This is the kind of thing, and I think depending on how much actual gameplay comes from this, the 1999, the $20 price tag sounds like a very fair price tag for this kind of game, especially being a roguelite. That implies that it is something to play through multiple times, make different choices, try and get different endings. There's different characters that we'll see in the description here. And here's where they really start to sell it. A one-bit roguelite RPG adventure inspired by Japanese horror and H.P. Lovecraft. Yeah, the Japanese horror I mean, for one, it's an anime art style, but the Japanese horror of Junji Ito, a very famous manga artist and visual artist of horror themes from Japan. It That influence is all over here, and the trailer even showed what looked like some kind of like a little bit of kaiju and cosmic horror stuff. So the HP Lovecraft really seems to bleed through as well, and that kind of a combination, just for the atmosphere alone and the inspiration, is it really lends to that visual style to let you get in and investigate some insane themes. Because the Junji Ito, I don't know if any of if you have seen like any of the manga or the animated adaptations of Junji Ito's work, it is some trippy stuff. Like I want to know what that dude was on. Amid turn-based combat and unforgiving choices, experience the quiet cosmic horror of Shiokawa. The old gods are reawakening, clawing their way back into a world that is spiraling into madness. In hospitals, abandoned classrooms, quiet apartments, and dark forests, strange appearances and unexplainable phenomena test the sanity of residents of Shiokawa. It is chaotic. Is it chaotic retribution or the machinations of beings beyond our comprehension? This is World of Horror. The end of the world is nigh, and the only solution is to confront the terror reigning over the apocalypse. You navigate this hellish roguelike reality through turn-based combat. Okay, it's just kind of repeating itself here. That whole second paragraph, we really didn't need that in the description here. Invoke dark rituals, uncover disturbing clues, solve puzzles across randomized mysteries. So there's some of the roguelite there with the mysteries that you get are randomized. Each perplexing case unravels into a series of random encounters with nightmarish figures inspired by Japanese horror manga, the Junji Ito inspiration, and I mean other artists too, but Junji Ito is just one of the absolute most famous ones in the history of manga and comic history. And H.P. Lovecraft. Start your investigations by choosing from 5 unique characters with many others to be unlocked. The darkness surrounded Shiokawa conceals over 20 different mysteries to be encountered in each run, with each mystery harboring multiple possible endings. Complemented by a haunting chiptune soundtrack and stark 1-bit art style drawn 100% in MS Paint. I did mention that before. World of Horror comes together to present a gnawing sense of dread. And of course, it does show here Nintendo Switch 2 compatibility. Now, this is the kind of game that I would hope that it is completely stable and functional on the Switch 1 as well. But the fact that it has that much going into it with this, we can see like the reflection, the character here, fully animated in that art style with fully rendered scenes in what looks like you playing to investigate these supernatural phenomena. And we even see they show us right here at the beginning of the trailer the eyes are just so filled with emotion, even with such a lack of color and shading. The visual style is just incredible in their depiction there. And it does show that it is going to be a violent game. So of course, for younger players, it might be one to sit out on, but for those of you who, with parental consent and guidance, or if you are an adult and this is your speed, the visual flair of the horror is just incredible to look through. And it does say that there are 20 mysteries that are randomized each time. I don't know how difficult it would be to actually complete all 20 mysteries in a single run, or how many more characters there are before the initial 5, or how different each character might be. Or if there are or if a playthrough is intended to be 20 mysteries, but maybe different characters have access to some different mysteries. I'm not sure. This is just kind of a little speculation in what I'm kind of questioning. Are these factors that'll play into it? Because the $20 price tag, that's the kind of price that definitely seems fair for an indie game, especially one that seems to put in this much work and focus. The roguelite aspect of it, I would wonder how much carries over from one playthrough to another, or if it's just a matter of unlocking endings in a kind of art gallery kind of situation, where when you get an ending for a mystery, let's say, just on the assumption, let's say there's 20 mysteries and each one has 3 to 5 possible endings, and each time you play through it, you unlock an art gallery snapshot for that ending. That's the kind of thing that I have seen in visual novels and stuff like that for the few that I have played, or even in other games that do have those kind of multiple endings. Sometimes the endings just kind of get a little stamp as a kind of collectible for playing through the game that many times. I would wonder if it is the kind of game that warrants so many multiple playthroughs to try and get all those endings and get all those unlockables, if the endings are substantially wild. And even the whole cosmic horror background in this, I have to give this game a lot of points. Like, extremely high marks for its visual style and its dedication to its inspirational sources. So I think with that, I am going to rate this game just on the Nintendo eShop page alone an 8 out of 10. I do have a slight concern, like as a consumer, as a potential buyer. $20 seems like it's a little steep on my, like I said, it's a fair price for indie games. But I feel like it might be a little steep depending on how much gameplay or game time I would expect to get out of it. I'm not necessarily saying that it's a bad thing. I might wait for it to go on sale to keep an eye on it. If I keep an eye on this and we get a good sale of it, maybe next year for Halloween or for Spooky Month, I may go ahead and actually just give this a nice playthrough to release in October of next year. But as it stands, me personally, I feel like $20 is very likely a fair price based on the RPG aspect, the roguelite aspect, the chance to play with multiple characters and play through the mysteries and kind of learn the ins and outs of each mystery. I do have the slight concerns of how replayable the mysteries are going to be, like if it's going to feel rewarding to play through them and make different choices each time, or if it's just going to feel kind of samey after encountering the same mysteries each time. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad game. Games can still be incredibly good, even if they don't really warrant endless multiple playthroughs. I have played other games like that, like Road 96, and Road 96 was kind of like that, where I played through it a few times to try and get all the unlockables and all the story beats. But after that, it's like, okay, if I want to play it again, I'm just trying to experience the story again for the hell of it. Or Haven is kind of like that too, where you play through it. It's not an incredibly long playtime, but the experience, like a second playthrough isn't really warranted on it, but the story is worth it. It's like watching a movie for a second time or reading the same book for a second time. You just kind of enjoy that ride even if you have played it. So I am hoping that World of Horror is like that, including with its multiple playthroughs to try and unlock different endings and see how that goes. I am hoping the game is rewarding enough, and I believe that with at least its visual style, it does have a lot of potential for that. So like I said, I'm rating this an 8 out of 10. Uh, if I get the chance to come around to this and pick it up on a sale or something for myself, just because with other projects, I know I constantly harp on having like these other things I'm working on. I do have my regular job, which kind of cuts into time a little bit too. But if I were to pick this up, I want to be able to give it the time that it deserves. So that's why I'm saying an 8 out of 10 very easily has room to bump up with getting a chance to try it at some point in the future. But I am adding this to my wish list to keep an eye on it. If anybody else out there has played World of Horror or any even other games from the studio, I took a peek at Isbrid's lineup, and it does look like they have a fair repertoire of games of various styles and themes. So it's not like this is a one trick pony for the studio. This is something that is clearly a passion project. Somebody really wanted to recreate this sense of horror and dread in this art style reminiscent of old graphics. And I think just on the graphical tone alone, they did that extremely well. And they pitch it incredibly well with their screenshots that show you what the gameplay should look like, and then the trailer, the fully animated trailer, where I am hoping that this animated that these animations, these sequences, I'm hoping that these and so many more full animated sequences are in the game, because it is an incredible visual. In fact, I would go so far as to like just actually watch an anime of this drawn in this style if somebody were to go and just make that as a passion project.